Hey guys, welcome to Cars and Caffeine with CastHeads Magazine. Ironically, our first show for the year is at the end of the year, but you all know what busy time it has been for me at CastHeads and working with the Model Car Hall of Fame, busy picking up nominations, getting the magazine done, and putting all of that together has been quite a crazy year, but doesn't mean that we can't bring up some really cool things that we've been experiencing over the year. Now, today, as always, on Cars and Caffeine, we have a guest, and we'd like to keep this trend going. So, with me, I have Luke. Luke is a wonderful gentleman that I've met at the launch of the Poker 917 Martini. You would have seen the pictures of the launch, the videos, and me heading towards the launch. Really excited about putting this model together. And then, of course, most of you know that I am Captain Clumsy, and therefore I'm going to be having my friend Full Size Avenue help me put this gorgeous 1/8 scale Porsche together. However, at the launch, I met up with Luke and we had a very interesting discussion about model car building, and I thought this sort of discussion is the sort of thing that we should be having right here on Cars and Caffeine, so that you guys can join in and maybe pose questions that we can answer later, because Luke is also on Instagram as
Because Diecast.
Because Diecast, and you will see a lot of his stuff. I personally have started watching a lot of his build videos to get an idea of what I'm going to be doing with the Porsche 917, or at least how I'm going to be watching somebody else do it while I drop screwdrivers, drop screws, and basically irritate everybody around me, because that was what God put me on earth to do. I also will be embarking on a fan home model build. That one I will be doing on my own, and I am pretty sure it's going to have a ton of laughable moments, lots of bleeps, and of course me trying to put together a Ferrari. Now you wonder why I'm willing to do the Ferrari over the Poker. Well, to be honest, I really don't want to mess up the Poker, because have you guys seen the price of that? It is premium build quality, and that is what we are going to be talking about today, because not everyone can do a Poker, but then there are also really interesting models that we can, set our mind to. And professionals like Luke, I call him a professional because he's built way more models than me. Me, zero. Luke, how many build models have you done so far?
In terms of all different scales, but probably around 20, 25, something like that. Yeah, I would say.
So let's get this party started, right? I've got a list of questions, and I'm going to put the mic here. So, Luke, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to meet up with us here at CastHeads and in our CastHeads studio. What do you think?
I think it's amazing. So I was saying to Nigel off camera that this is a really cool setup, and I'm looking forward to getting all of my models out and on display and things like that. So yeah, I love it. It's amazing.
It's like going through a history of motor cars and motorsport all in one place.
Yes.
And I don't like to do too many videos of my collection, because I do fear that superstition called the evil eye, but I'm quite happy with encouraging people to talk about it on camera.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But I like your collection because you've got race cars, road cars, classic cars. You've got many iconic cars, and yeah, so it's a good spread of cars.
Cars have been an addiction to me since the age of 4. My father and I, and a lot of CastHeads viewers know this, my father and I used to watch Smokey and the Bandit.
Yes.
All the episodes of all the movies, as well as a lot of Jackie Chan movies that featured a lot of Mitsubishis, and my father was a massive Mitsubishi fan. So in fact, the first car that he bought brand new was a Mitsubishi. But I digress, because Cars and Caffeine, and while I take a sip of my coffee, let's get into the first question.
Yes, that's cool.
So what was the model that got you hooked on building model cars first? Because I know there's always that, you kind of look at it and then go, can I do this? And you do it, and maybe the first time, because you make a lot of mistakes, you think, maybe I won't do it. But then there's always something that clicks. Which was the one that clicked for you?
So I think I started model building when I was quite young, so I'd say around 12, 13 years old, so really quite young. The first couple of cars that I really got into that I found iconic were probably the Super Impreza, WRX STI. Really liked that, so I'm talking about Richard Burns and people like that. Colin McRae was one of my idols as well, so got into the Focuses. and there was a really nice Focus RS from Tamiya, so I got into that as well. So not only the die-cast like Rebel and Tamiya kits, but also some of the RC kits from Tamiya as well.
Right.
I got into at quite a young age.
Yeah, I remember we did discuss some of the Tamiya RCs as well, because I also did have a couple of
Yes.
not heavy build ones yourself, because I was a kid at that time, but yeah, wow. So you've been, right down to the nitty-gritty of building with glue and paint. And
Yeah, glue, paint. A lot of the Rebel kits are really, really good quality. So I started those when I was very young, and like I say, they're iconic because you do it at 12, you put it on the shelf, and just now we'll come on to it later. But some of the IXO kits now, you've got 180 scale Subarus, and that's still an iconic car for me. So yeah, it kind of sticks with you, I would say.
But obviously, having to go through that sort of discipline, you've had to, hit challenging points
Yes.
in your build. I mean, some cars obviously are harder to build. What has been your most challenging so far to date?
So far, not to scare you, Nigel, however, the 917K was quite a challenge. So really quite an advanced build, a lot of parts, a lot of steps to it, quite time consuming, but if you take your time, watch my build tip video, and you'll be fine.
So are you talking about the Martini? Because I also
Yes.
know you had your hands on the Gulf as well.
No, I've just done
You-
2 martinis.
Okay.
2 martinis, yes.
2 Martinis.
Yes.
So you really like, big man for punishment sort of thing.
Pretty much, yes.
Because I did see the poker manual when they gave it out
Yes.
at the event. I admit, someone who's very used to Lego instructions, that was very daunting, and I have to admit that I was quite scared, which is why I immediately called full size Emily and said, please,
Yes.
I'm going to need a lot of help on this. But model building for you in your busy life, because I know this is not your main job or your main, so you've got other things to do. And a lot of people do bring this up about model building and how it has been, how it's good for your mental health in terms of taking a break. Recently I was talking to a friend of mine about dementia, to be honest, and how keeping our minds sharp at this age would be a great thing to do. So he's gone off on the musical route and he started learning how to play the drums, because apparently that helps. In terms of that, so there's model car building. But this is a lot of what other people have said. What has been your personal feel about the topic of mental release of stress and just sitting down and enjoying building?
Yeah, so I think it's an interesting one, and I think everyone relates to it differently. Some people maybe struggle with ADHD, some people anxiety, some people work stress, but for me it's always been a kind of solace or an avenue to go down that doesn't hurt anyone, can be expensive, but doesn't hurt anyone, and it's kind of somewhere I can go and not think about anything else. It does require a lot of concentration and skill, but if you just sit at your modelling desk and you're working on something, there's many angles to it, but you get the sense of pride and achievement, you get the challenge. So yeah, for me it just takes me into a zone of just solace, I would say, to be honest. So quite often if I'm not filming a build, I'll just put some music on, classical music or something like that, and I can just relax and get into it, and I'm not worried about, my life, anything else really. So I'm in the moment, so that's what I find in it.
And also, you do have a huge passion for the subject material, which is
True.
Motorsport. So
Yes.
for you, it's like building your own car. You're just not going to get into it and race it. But
That's a good point though. So yeah, I'm a massive racing fan and
Yeah.
car fan and motorcycle fan. So massively into kind of DTM, Class 1, Super GT, things like that, British touring cars, MotoGP. So for me, that's massive. That's a massive part of it. If I want to create a DTM collection, I can do it. If I want to create a Super GT collection, I can do it, and things like that. And then the other part is you'll find most people, similar to us, are quite technical. They want to know how it works, how does the engine go together, how does the brake system work, and things like that. So there's all of that in there. There's many different kind of passions, if you like, tied up in model building
Right.
as an entity, I would say.
So, this brings me to a very interesting question,
Yeah.
because we've obviously seen Gran Turismo, the movie,
Yes.
and we've seen how, being a motorsport racer in the fantasy world or in the esport world can sometimes translate to being somewhat of a racer in the real world. Do you think you can take a 917 apart and put it back together now, a real one?
I would say probably not. I think as good as these models are in terms of 3D scanning them and things like that, I speak to some of the model creators, and in terms of 3D scans, as accurate as they are, I'm sure there's some secrets that are kept to Porsche and things like that. So I don't think it would give you a 100% representation of the car, just to strip it and rebuild it. But I think I could probably do 70-80% of it.
So we're not going to go to Brands Hatch for a Legends weekend, and you'll be standing behind the 917 and going, guys, think the engine's running a little lean. If you just tune it on this, you're not going to be...
I know where the carb is, but no.
So what has been your most favorite build so far? You've done about 20 builds. What has been...
Good question. So my most favourite would be, again, one of my iconic builds would be D'Agostini. They released the Yamaha YZMR1 Valentino Rossi 1/4 scale build. So I built that, I would say, 2023 into 2024. And that's, pride of peace in my house, and that's one that I really treasure.
Right.
Really, really nice build.
I'm going to get pictures of these don't worry guys, it's not just going to be us talking, you'll be getting an example of what some of these look like. So you've been in the build game for, I would say, 3-4 years? 5 years?
In terms of kind of large scale builds, about 2-3 years. But in terms of kind of model building as such, all scales, I would say since I was about 12.
Right. So you've obviously seen how the market has changed.
Yes. And
you've obviously seen how the demand for building cars has actually kind of dropped, but now it's coming back up again. And I think there is more interest because, like for example, Lego have launched into a complete plethora of cars, and following them is Hot Wheels, because Hot Wheels, they don't like to be left out of anything. And then they bring up this beautiful brick shop Honda Acura, and I must say, right? Have you had a chance to look at one of these?
I haven't seen any of the Hot Wheels kind of Lego style stuff, to be honest. No.
Exactly.
Cool.
It's got the
hood that opens up.
Yep, lights open up, doors open up. So when it comes to talking about detail and accuracy, I am actually very surprised at how good they've been. So what do you think brands like Pocker and all these legacy brands that have been doing, have been doing for a while, what do you think they should be doing in terms of marketing? I mean, what should they be saying to the newer generation of people, young adults who are used to having it nice and easy with things like Lego, and I mean that was also pretty easy to use. However, it doesn't fit together as well as Lego.
Okay.
So you have a lot of pieces that you're trying to squeeze together and it pops off.
Yeah, the tolerance is not there. Yeah. The
oh boy, did I use a lot of unfriendly language. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? What do you think brands should be doing in terms of saying, "Hey guys, we have a better option"?
Yes.
Which is kind of cool because it'll also keep you off the streets. Like when Nancy Reagan used to say no to drugs,
Yes. I think there's many things. I think it depends as well, because a lot of the kits that you see now, Fan Home, D'Agostini, they're at quite an expensive price point, in terms of the monthly subscriptions and the Pocket kits, IXO, etc. They're not cheap kits. So for me, I think community events, situations like how we met at the Pocker event, running some events, collaboration events would be really, really good, because to be honest, to try and get someone to part with £1,000, €1,000 on the internet without seeing a kit is potentially quite difficult.
Right.
So when we went to the event, you can see the kit, you can see the Porsche, you can see the Pagani, and you can get hands on with the kit.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, this is a lot of money. So I would say that just to get hands on with the kit is quite an important factor. So kind of pop-up shops, pop-up events, things like that would be quite cool. Model cafes, as we mentioned on camera, would be really cool as well. So yeah, all sorts of different things I think they could do, to be honest. And the other thing I would say is kind of working with smaller collaborators. I see a lot of collaborations with large-scale collaborators and large-scale influencers. But I think with some of the smaller creators, you can still tap into some pretty big markets, and markets in different locations as well.
Right. Have you, in your meeting of people and so far, have you come up with people who have thought about customizing their models? Like for example, you've got two 917 Martinis. Would you think about turning one of them into a Weissach Porsche, for example, or giving it the psychedelic 917 treatment, for example? Just because you have
Because you can.
a canvas,
Yes. For me, probably not. I would like to keep it kind of original. I love the livery; it looks amazing. So for me, probably not. That risk reward is kind of not there.
Right.
But a lot of people do. And I get a lot of comments on YouTube and Instagram. Do you do custom stuff? Do you do custom models?
Right.
I think as a car guy, a lot of people just want a model of their car. To be honest, whatever wrap they've got, whatever wheels they've got, things like that. So I think the customised section of the market is big, but it's not something that I personally jumped into.
Right. I don't think I want a model of my car because I drive a Vauxhall Astra.
Okay.
But I mean, considering how many 917s I have, maybe I can collect enough of them to buy a replica. I don't know.
Maybe.
But right. Now, switching gears a bit, I know that you are also a Lego fan.
Yes.
Right. Do you think model cars, brands like the Augustini and Pocker should follow, Lego as an example of how to communicate? Because Lego keeps churning them out, and they make it easier and easier. Now, for example, Lego has this wonderful thing where you can go online and you can look at the manual in 3D.
Yes.
Which is really awesome for model builders. And I think for brands like the Augustini and Pocker and IXO that have these large scale kits, these are the sorts of technology that they should also be exploring to make it more desirable to a newer generation.
Yeah, I think you're on the money there with that one. I think, the kind of flat 2D image that you kind of get in a manual is quite hard. And to hear them talking about the Agostini and things like that, it can be difficult, especially if some of the coats are, like I'm working on the Toyota Supra at the moment, the Fast and Furious one, and the chassis and the wishbones and things, they're all powder coated matte black.
Right.
So when you're looking in the manual for what orientation things go in, like the sway bars, it's really quite difficult. So I think you're right. If we could get some sort of 3D representation, it would be good. That's one thing they could do. I would think it'd be a positive. I know that Pocket on some of their recent kits, like the Pagani Utopia, the launch edition one, they've actually got a 3D manual, so you can actually see the parts in 3D, which is a bit more advanced and it's colour, so it's a bit more advanced than the 917 manual.
Oh, so that's something interesting that maybe Pocket should kind of implement for the rest of their...
I think they're on that journey, I think they're starting to do that.
Honestly, I personally think that a lot of these brands are missing out on an opportunity to create a collectible catalog.
Yes.
I mean, obviously coming from CastHeads Magazine, I read a lot, I look at a lot of layouts, I love coffee table books and stuff like that. And I think perfect example is the Haynes Ferrari 512, because it's built like a manual for fixing your Ferrari 512, but not many people are going to own one. So it's also filled with a lot of cool things about the car and its history and all of that. And I think that would really make something cool for Pocker as well. Because I would love, a nice interactive book, for example, that would have the details about the 917, not that I don't know it, and not that I haven't got the internet to look it up, but sometimes it's just nice to have that collectible piece. And not everyone's going to have it, because you have to buy the car to have the book, or you have to,
correct.
So, I think stuff like that would really help, a lot of these brands, and again, merchandising.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Lego does a lot of good merchandising to build their brand, and I think people like Pocker, and we're using Pocker as an example because we met on Pocker, and you're passionate about Pocker's build, and it's kind of like rubbed off on me because I'm quite excited, nervous because I am Captain Clumsy. Perfect example, I shot the Tarmac Works RS200, and straight after the shoot while fitting it back into the case, I dropped it and I broke the side mirror.
Wow.
Yeah. So
it happens.
No, it happens to me a lot. I have a lot of cars that
happens to me. Happens to everyone. I was just going to touch upon the fact that D'Agostini and Fan Name, they do put a lot of knowledge and a lot of articles in their books actually that you get. So you do get that kind of added value, which is quite interesting. So again, we could take that into Pocker and things like that. So
but again, I still wish they would make it a bit more collectible. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like for example, if you were to buy the I can't remember the top of the line Techniques Ferrari.
Is it the Monza SP?
No, it's I think it's the SP, the Monza SP one, right?
I think.
Have you seen the book that comes with it?
No. It's amazing.
It is amazing. It really is a collector's item. It's like, Ferrari said, if you want to do this car, you have to do this book as well.
Okay.
And, it has got Ferrari's, seal of design approval on it, right? And I want to own the car. Just that book, to be very honest.
Wow.
Because I like collecting Ferrari books.
Yes.
But yeah, again, digressing because...
The other thing that I touch upon just quickly on the Lego point is that I think they have something for every sector and every niche in the market and every price point. So I think if we look at Lego's success, they've literally got £20 Speed Champion kits or £300 SB1 kits. They've got Harry Potter stuff. They've got all sorts of different kits. So
I have some F1 cars that cost, I think, £2.
Wow.
The really small ones that you put together for the kids.
Yep. But that's what I mean. Whereas if you look at some of these other brands like Senior Fan and etc. Poco, there's nothing below a certain price point. So I think maybe we could look at some different scales, even like 180, 112, something like that, 124, and then the price point comes down and the barrier to entry.
Like I was talking about earlier. I mean, you've had your experience with one of these. This is Maisto's 124 scale line.
Yes.
And it is fairly simple to put this together in terms of it's almost like plug and play.
Yes.
But it does take you a good hour or two as well. It's just that at the end of it you've got a full car as opposed to like breaking the build into.
Yeah, exactly. It's a quick build and the quality is actually pretty good. I just did a Kawasaki KX450 and also a LaFerrari.
I saw that's the one. I saw the LaFerrari one. Yeah. So and these are what, £15, £20?
Yeah, very cheap, 15 to 20 pounds.
So you're right. I think brands like Poker and the Augustine can like step into that builder market and like introduce people these sort of things because I would definitely give this to my kid.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'd be very honest, my 8-year-old kid is just going to find this really easy to do.
Yep.
Right? And then as he grows older, because obviously he's going to get into the sort of car culture.
Yes. No choice on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to want to get, stick with the brand that he's really familiar with.
Yes.
So I think that's a really good point, having different scales and different price points to work within the different markets and kind of like penetrate the markets.
Because then you become that de facto, known brand, which for me could be Revel, could be Tamiya, because I got into it at 12. So yeah, if they got into that price point and that market and that generation, that will travel for life, and the lifetime value of that is exponential.
I'm pretty sure they'd be able to sell a lot of Porsche 917 KHs in 112, in 118 or even 124 scale.
Yeah.
Talking about cars and what could be and what could not be, what would you be the car? What would the car you think or you would wish that you could sit and build? What would be one car that you could build?
One car. I've got a few.
Okay, let's talk about a few. I don't mind. You've got the time.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a massive racing fan, so if I was to pick kind of, let's call it track-only cars, I would go for a 599 Ferrari XX Evo, or just a 599 XX, a massive, impressive car that's really made an impression on me. I was lucky enough to go to Silverstone and see them a few years back, and I love the 599 XXs. The LaFerrari FXX Evo, is an amazing car as well, so I'd love to build one of them. But I think probably more realistic, maybe, hopefully from some sort of kit provider, Pagani Zonda R or Zonda Revolution would be amazing. I think the Pagani kits are just, amazing, just in terms of their detail and their engineering, their works of art, with the body on, with the body off, they're amazing. We were talking about the LCD kits that have just come out, or 1/18th models, and they look amazing. So I can only imagine what a 1/8 scale would look like. It would be amazing. But closer to reality, in terms of some of these kit builders and these brands, probably an AC Cobra. I know Agora do a lovely AC Cobra.
Exactly, I was about to say,
Yeah.
That's quite nice. But I must say, you had me at 599 XX.
Yes.
Because I do really like that car, and I was just thinking while we're talking, and the good thing is because we're recording, I can watch back and hear what, because I was lost in thought.
Yes.
That long 599 X1, and just thinking,
it's an amazing
beautiful
machine.
With the grey and the black
Yeah, I've got a lovely 1/18 pearl white one, which is amazing with the Italian stripes down the middle. It's amazing. I've got many 599s, which you'll see at some point. I'm a big XX program fan. And if you ever get a chance to go to an event, I would definitely recommend going to an event. They don't come to the UK much. I think the last time they came to the UK was about 3 years ago now. But next year I'm planning to go to Italy and probably Spa to see them. So,
That's going to be very exciting.
The cars sound amazing, honestly.
I can only imagine what that's going to be like. I have to say, the Dodge Viper.
Okay.
I would like to have. I'm a huge fan of Viper, and I don't think it gets enough credit. It deserves, and there are fantastic race car versions of it, GTS versions.
What colour would you pick? The red with the white stripes, or?
I've always been a big fan of the original white with the blue stripes, the GTS, the original, the first generation GTS Viper. But I like any Viper. You put a Dodge Viper in front of me, and I'm a huge Ferrari fan.
Yes.
So for me, the Dodge Viper is like the American Ferrari. So I'll probably get crucified on YouTube for saying that. But I'm talking about it in terms of looks and the sort of feeling you get from an exotic car. So I would love to see one of these brands do a Dodge Viper or one of the iterations of the Dodge Viper.
It would be a success, I'm sure. It would be a success.
Another car I would like to see is the Jensen. I would like to see, beautiful British racing green Jensen Interceptor GT model, putting one of those together, because again, classic car, beautiful shape, beautiful color, very rarely seen as models. And I'm pretty sure there are a lot of fans of the Jensen Interceptor out there. I think it would make a popular car. But those are, like you said, you've got millions of cars we'd like to see.
Yes.
Those are the two that I think, would be top of my list.
Awesome.
But I do also now have 599XX in my mind. So maybe we should work together.
Yes.
Because one thing's for sure, we all know that Poker is coming out with Ferrari next year.
Correct.
And we've all been trying to speculate as to what they're going to be dropping. If I were to drop a speculation right now, F40 Competition.
Okay.
Or a F40 LM.
Okay.
But that is me and my prediction. Let's see. We're a few months away from hearing the news of what they're going to do. We did talk about we do need more kits in 112 and 118, so I'm gonna cut off the list.
Yep.
So what are the rituals that you already mentioned that you like to listen to a bit of music? Do you have a martini while you do that? Do you prep yourself mentally before you do a build? Or is it come home, drop your bag, have a shower, get something to eat, and then just start building? Is it like a mechanical thing, or is it some people with reading, they need that spot, they need that beverage, they need whatever. Do you have that with model building?
It's a good question. So it depends. It depends kind of what you're building, how complex it is for me, and things like that. I think a lot of these subscriptions that I build, that is pretty much kind of pick it up and go. So you come in from work, drop the bag and just get into it. If it's something expensive and large scale like the Poker ones, then it's a bit more methodical, if you like. So get the workspace set up. I've got a 1 meter by 50 centimeters working desk. I've got an A2 cutting mat. I've got all the tools and everything. So before I pull out the 917, for example, I'll set it all up properly and things like that. So that's a bit more methodical. So it depends what I'm doing. I won't really generally do any of them if I'm kind of tired or fatigued or just not feeling it. So for me, most of my model building is kind of in the morning or middle of the day rather than the evening.
Right.
It just depends.
I suppose when you're trying to build something that's a bit intricate, doing it when you're tired sometimes can be more frustrating than trying to do it early. So I can see how that works. So that's probably a good idea.
And some stuff you only get one shot. So if you're doing a wheel that's powder coated, you don't want to be doing it at 10 o'clock at night and slip and scratch it, and then you need a new part.
You're frightening me. You're really frightening me. I'm really nervous about this, but
you'll be fine. You'll be fine. If you need any tips, just give me a shout.
Well, like you said, you also do have a practice of doing videos for all your builds.
Yes.
So certainly we'll be definitely looking at that, because one thing's for sure, when I'm putting IKEA together, I rely on the videos more than I rely on the manual, because
Yes.
again the manual shows you only a 2D thing, and
Yes,
sometimes
yes.
you're like, is that the right corner? And you're trying to.
Very hard to see the orientation. It's
Exactly.
the same as what we mentioned in the manuals. It's very hard, especially with the colours and things like that. It's quite difficult. Yeah.
So that's what I think. Having people like you doing these, putting the videos up is always going to be helpful, and fantastic. So thank you very much, because we're definitely going to be coming to your YouTube channel.
Because Diecast, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Yeah.
For the
check it out.
Poker 91, the Poker 917.
Yeah, the 917K will be going on there. There's 2 unboxings on there at the moment, but the build videos will be coming. They're also available on the Poker channel. But also I've got quite a few fan home kits on there. I've got the GTR from Fast and Furious. I've got the Supra from Fast and Furious, the RB19, and now the Ducati MotoGP.
I have none of those. So I'm just going to be waiting for the.
I'm a very busy man. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to be I'm not going to start until you've got your videos up.
Okay.
Because I think having a professional showing us the way, especially
Tips and tricks,
exactly.
There's a lot of tips and tricks in the video, which will help.
So what are the myths that you have encountered? I'm sure you've heard a lot of tall tales about, oh, I don't want to do model building because of this, and all, and you've sat there going, no.
There's a few. I think the main one that I see is kind of this intimidation from the skill level. So a lot of the brands use a skill level spectrum. So they'll say advanced or level 7, level 8, etc. So I think for a lot of people that kind of puts them off. And the price point as well. If we touch back to the price point, if you're paying for a level 7 kit at £900 or $900, you are a bit intimidated, you're a bit worried. So my advice there would just be to kind of pick up a £20 Revel kit or a £30 Hot Wheels kit or Lego kit, and just get used to kind of tinkering and, how do I say, having a cheap kit that will have some problems, and then you learn to navigate the problems. The problems you'll find on a £20 or £30 Tamiya kit, you need to sand a little part down or something like that, or cut it short, will be the same problems you have on a £900 kit, because even on the expensive stuff, the powder coat stuff, and when you're trying to screw it together, it might not fit, the tolerance might be off. So it depends. I would just say don't be intimidated, really, generally. You don't look worried.
I like how Luke says, don't be intimidated, to me. Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting build. I think people are going to find building with Nigel going to be a completely different experience. And I think I'm going to be putting a lot of these companies' after sales service to the test with emails like, I kind of broke this arm, could you resend it to me? Also, that bag of screws that you sent me, I have only one left.
It does happen. Poker are really, really good though with the parts and the screws and stuff. So
right. Okay.
I've had some spares. Don't worry.
So that's cool. Right. That's great. Because I must say, Agora, when we were doing the Terminator build,
yes,
we did have a situation where the box 3 that I had was missing certain parts, and we got in touch with Agora. Like I said, Full Size Avenue was the chap who built Dave for us.
Yes.
CastHeads AI.
It's just there looking at us.
Yeah, I know, just dubiously looking at us. So he was in touch with Agora, and they were fantastic.
Yes.
They were prompt, they got everything delivered, they followed up. And that I think really kind of helped me put a bit more faith into the whole process, because for me, if I'm going to now look at Agora and say, I want to buy that model, I actually don't have any fear buying it, because I know that if I mess something up, I know for a fact that I could get it back again from Agora. Right. It's going to be costly, I know, but then you got to pay a price.
Yes.
So that is always, a really good safety feature and a good this thing. So knowing that Poker also does that, I think is worth it, because then people know that they have. Nigel comes over and decides to look at your model and breaks the side mirror, we can always get another one.
Again, that does happen. My friend did that recently.
There you go. Oh my God!
Broke a mirror on my.
I really enjoy my time with you, but I think we'll just keep the podcasts between us here. You don't want to know. So finally,
yes.
At the end of the day, what is your favorite brand?
That's a good question. If I was to pick a scale and a brand, I would say Mini Champs for 1/18. which is surprising to you. It depends what model I'm after. I would say mini champs have been quite a standard for me. For many of my 118s, I'm a big DTM fan.
Yeah.
So a lot of my DTM models are mini champs. So that's probably the main reason behind that. Another one would be BBR. So BBR really good for my Ferrari models. Again, they're not cheap. They're really quite expensive models.
Yeah.
But again, you know, for your pride of place models, they're really quite good.
Yeah.
And then if I touch upon 143 scale, I'd probably say Spark. So a lot of my models are Spark. I think the quality is amazing, but again, they're not cheap. They're expensive premium models, but the quality's there. So I'm really happy with those as well.
Excellent. Have you had a look at some of the models that CastHeads Magazine has been putting out?
Specifically, which ones?
Anything?
Not yet, but I will.
Well, we do have a new issue coming
I'm a
out,
very busy man. I'm building this. I'm building that.
Of course. But yeah, I like that one. That's what you call putting people on the spot. No, but yes, it has been a very enjoyable conversation because, like I said, and earlier, for me, this is a whole new experience in terms of collecting. All my life, I have been a Lego builder, and I have been a model car collector, but I've never been able to get my head into doing something that needs this much of focus. And it does need a fair amount of focus. I mean, this is not something that, I mean, there are people who do sit down, put it together partly and then go away and come back after 2-3 weeks. But also to get back into it is always very difficult after a very long time. And that's when you tend to make mistakes.
Correct.
And you tend to break stuff because you forget how delicate it was when you put it on the first time. So, you know, in terms of that, it'll be very interesting to show you guys exactly how long it takes as well. For some, it's going to take, you know, for him, it'll take 24 hours, pretty sure. Luke, I think, is going to try and beat the world record at some point. But for someone like me, it's going to take, you know, a few days, but we're going to try and do it in a way where people can understand, you know, the continuity is very important.
I think it is really important, as you touch upon. I think just to keep the context of kind of what part you've put where and things like that and how things fit together. As you say, if you drop it for 2 weeks, then pick it up again, it's quite difficult, to be honest. So when I built 2 of them, I actually did them back to back at the same time. Right. One engine, build the second engine, just because I've got the context. I know where the parts fit and how they go together. Exactly.
You know, it then becomes like muscle memory because you're always on it, always into it. And I think there is a lot of element of, you know, again, you know, when you're screwing stuff in and all of that, you don't want to over screw it, you don't want to crack things.
Correct, yeah.
So, you know, yeah, it's very important not to leave a gap between stuff. On that note, I will try not to leave a gap between our next video and try and have more Cars and Caffeine with CastHeads Magazine in tow. But thank you so much, Luke, for taking the time to come over and sit with me and go through some of the, you know, nitty-gritties about building models, because I think it's going to be a big thing in the future. And I think with brands like Poker now realizing that they are kind of like up there ahead of the game sort of thing, it's not really caught on. With things like their Ferraris coming out next year, it's going to be some really exciting stuff. So keep an eye on CastHeads, keep watching CastHeads, keep reading CastHeads. Come on, you guys, you know it's a free magazine, so you really don't have to pay for anything. You just read it. And, you know, visit us on IG. You can always visit Luke's IG as well, because Diecast.
Because Diecast, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, check it out.
There you go. Plenty of information. And let us know what you feel about model building. And if you're involved in model building, hit us up. You have our email, you have our Instagram, you have our YouTube on the comments. All of that, get it together, let us know what you think. Thanks so much for your time. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much again,
Thank
Luke.
you for having me.
And again, I'd like to say a big thank you to Poker, because they have sent me a 917K Martini Porsche that we are going to be building soon. So yeah, again, big shout out to them for their support. This is me, Nigel, signing off. Thank you.